curling casuals.
All right, guys, everybody. Come on, Nikki. Where is it? My computer is not going to work with me today. Okay, here we go. Stop video, and I am sharing. Share. All right, and here we go. Come on. Everybody, kill your video. And welcome to another edition of Witch Hat Chats, um, presented by the Ever Moving We Rise Witch Shrine, the Laughing Soul Holistic Center, and Moonlight Potions and Charms. I am your great host. Everybody loves me. I know that, especially Pam. Pam really does love me. I'm Nikki Kirby, and then I'm going to introduce the fabulous, the wondrous. She battled for us zombie fairies and won. Yes, she won. So you know what? She's a real bad butt. So her name is Miss Pamela Griffith. Hey Pam, how are you doing today,
Hey,
honey?
how you doing? Yes, I came back from the zombie fairies. That will be a talk for next week's show because the person responsible will be on next week. We will deal with that then. We've got so many things going on. October is a really jam-packed month for us, and we
Yeah,
love it.
Pam. And you know what? I got something to help you celebrate. I got a surprise for you. Want to see it?
Yeah, let's
Get
see.
surprises. You know it's October, and so this is what we will be like in like 100 years from now.
Oh, I look so thin. I love it. You brought me back thin, Nikki. That's wonderful.
I know I'm awesome.
Oh, goodness. October is our month. I will give you that much. Our Dark Mystery Silent Auction is really awesome, guys. These are specially handpicked items, and I'm very excited about what we have on there. So I really need everybody to jump on and look because it's going to appeal to somebody. And you can go to, now I'm going to give it to you. It's the Laughing Soul Holistic Center.com. And just go to the silent auction link and go ahead and place your bids. Nikki's got some really awesome stuff that we're giving out, and I'd really love to see it go quickly.
Yes, yes. You know, the great thing about it is Pam and I have personally picked out these products for you. And, you know, it's products, some of the products we actually own. You know, we decided to be nice and for our audience because we love our audience, don't we, Pam?
Mm-hmm. Did we take the hexes off and curses off the stuff first?
I think I made sure of that, but if you receive an item that's hex or curse, you're more than welcome to turn and let us know, and then we'll send you the spot to take it off. No big deal.
Okay. Just checking for the safety of our audience.
All right, so Pam, let us know what is going on at the Ever Moving We Rise Witten Shrine.
Let me tell you, if we have any more things going on, we're going to burst at the seams. We have our red tent scheduled for October 10th. Now, this is unusual. Our green tent is scheduled for the same time. So if you fight over the computer, like, you know, you only have one, ladies, you're going to win. So we have that going on. Our dark moon ritual, October 17th at 9 Eastern. All these times are Eastern Standard Times. Dark moon in October is awesome because this is the real deal, closer to the veil. It can be a very moving ritual. And then obviously Samhain. Oh, Samhain, October 25th at 9 p.m. You guys got to come in for that one. It is going to be awesome sauce. So set your time, Eastern Standard Time. Remember, it's October 10th at 9 for the red tent. Dark moon is the 17th at 9, and Samhain is October 25th at 9. So make sure you come on. The dates and everything's always listed in our site, so you can jump back if you forget. But just remember, October is jam-packed. But the one thing you got to remember, guys, we need a little self-care, and that's where our rituals come in. You're going to need that spirituality to get you through October because it is jam-packed this year.
It is.
Now, Nikki, you're doing like 10 million other things this month too, aren't you?
You know, I am doing a lot, and it seems like I'm always asked to do more and more every day. Pam, you really need to give me that cloning spell because I really do need that. Okay.
Seriously, we need to put you on a copier and make about 20 copies.
Yeah, we do. So I, along with Sir Ed Hubbard, we're going to be appearing at the Collective Witchery Summit. And what it is 5 days with 15 speakers on a variety of topics. So it's for witches of all ages and experiences, ranging from the beginner to the witchpreneur. So I'm speaking on October 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time about the Little Witch. And so the Little Witch, let me tell you a little bit about it. The Little Witch there's a little witch in all of us. It's very, very true, especially for the magical practitioner. And the Little Witch is a very important aspect to our magical practice, for it is responsible for our imagination, creativity, open-mindedness, innocence, wonder, fun, dreams, and pursuing those dreams. Discover how to bring forth your Little Witch and have him or her remain a vibrant part of your life, while taking your magic to a whole new level of consciousness. So for more information, go to http, there's little dots things, and then the / heysummit.collectivewitcherysummit.com for more information. But also, there is another festival that I will be attending, as well as Sir Ed Hubbard, and that is the Hecate Sickle Festival, which is October 15th through the 18th. And the Hecate Sickle is an annual exploration of the mysteries of the goddess Hecate in all of her forms. It's about overcoming boundaries of death and change as we offer a sacred space for transit experience, growth of a lasting community, and the perfection of love and trust. So my workshop will be Hecate Shedding the Light on the Shadow Self on October 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And a little bit about that. Like nature, we have the light and dark within us, but most people are willing to only handle the light. They want to ignore that dark part. So Hecate, the queen of witchcraft, ruler of life, death, and transformation, knows that in order to live a balanced life, we cannot afford to ignore the shadow self. So only by learning about the dark can we truly know about ourselves and embrace life to the fullest. So walk with Hecate in her labyrinth as she shines the light on the shadow self and teaches you how to face your fear and know who you are at your very, very core and emerge with the witch spirit meant for you to be. So for more information on that, go to www.sickle.atcwicca.org for more information on that. And with that, Pam, I think it's going to be time to introduce our guest. What do you think?
I think that would be a great idea. Let's bring him on.
Awesome. So our guest is a returning guest. He is a visionary, and he possesses the vision of the future of paganism in the technological world. He founded the Psychic Services Incorporated, Psychic Chicago Magazine, and Telepathic Media radio show, as well as Pagans Tonight Radio. He's a third degree in the Correllian tradition, and this person is the co-founder of, get this, Witch School International. Now, A lot of people don't really understand how significant that actually was. It was really significant because it caused the Corellian tradition to go all around the world. And so, as a founder of the CEM Broadcasting, he is here to discuss the Halloween Psychic Fair with Pam and me. So, I am proud to introduce my mentor and my friend, Sir Ed Hubbard. Hey, Ed.
How you doing? Great to be
Awesome.
here. Congratulations on your 13th episode.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. It's exciting.
Lucky
It is.
13.
So if you were an anime show, this would be your finale of your first season. But of course, you're an ongoing talk show, so that doesn't count that way.
No, but it counts for 13 in Halloween. So I think this is pretty cool. October is our 13th episode. So that kind of has a relationship there, guys.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of funny starting our 13th episode at the first Sunday of October. It's like, okay, there's your sign, Pam. There's a sign.
There's
There's a sign there. So, Ed, what are we going to be expecting for this Halloween Psychic Fair? Tell us a little bit about that.
So the Halloween Psychic Fair, it came about really because of the fact that a lot of the physical psychic fairs, which like the Salem Psychic Fair where I've worked last year, was a great experience. And I've worked Octobers a lot of times. I love Halloween. But this year, because of COVID, a lot of these have been, either banned or really dangerously shortened down. I mean, it would be very hard for someone to actually want to go to a physical psychic right now. And so we answered like we've been answering all year with the CM broadcasting and other techniques of helping out the community. And the Halloween Psychic Fair is a chance in that to help out the community. It's a fundraiser principally. And the main thing that it's raising money for is not only CM broadcasting and also helping replace some of the income of the psychics who so depend on October. And there's so many of our fellow witches and other sort of magical folks and psychic folks. They really depend on October. People don't understand. For many psychics, it's as much as third to half of their annual income. That's how important it is to the mainstream. And to lose that was really bad. So that's kind of that. And we're also doing the food and seed bank grants. It's helping fund for that program that we're going to start next year, giving out grant money to projects that are both food oriented and seed oriented. Not so much that we're going to take it on ourselves, but it's going to be administered through Corellian Education Ministries and also through the Paladins, but actually helping provide grants to groups that are already doing the work. Most people don't realize it's easier to collect food, but there's a secondary part, gasoline, transport, and all that. And that's where we're going to look and moving into to make it even better for people to work. So that's kind of the big part of it. It's why we're doing it. What to expect? It's a social broadcasting system. It is an experiment in creating community. It's so it offers readings, which is also fantastic with some of the best names in the business. We have Salem psychics. We have all sorts of psychics, and many of them are experienced in doing long days, including yourselves. So we have psychics, and that's kind of that. And we are doing $25 readings. These people charge anywhere from $35, $40, $50. But because they agreed to this, we're doing it for $25, the best deal on Halloween, because everybody's a little tight for cash too. But so we're making it fair. We have classes. We have a lot of classes coming up, and there's two ways you can do it. You can buy classes a la carte. We just did a class with Dragon Tarot. You can come to the site and you can still order it and see it. So starting in a day or so, and also we have the All Access Pass. And so with the All Access Pass, you can get in and see all these classes, including the classes that have already occurred. And trust me, this month is going to be so many classes. If you really want to hone your psychic skills at a time like this, would be great. And we're lastly doing things like the Woodshed Hats. So Woodshed Hats is one of the first shows that came out of our social broadcasting experiment called CM Broadcasting. And now we're going to be expanding it throughout the month of October, doing more shows.
I'm okay. I'm old school. This is all so fascinating to me. And it's like incredibly awesome that we can actually get all this happening. And I know that you are like the main guide for all this. So we're including people that are not just Corellian. This is like which why, so to speak.
Oh,
Is
absolutely. Most of the readers are not Corellians, but they are my friends. Like we have Bruce Hoskins, Lord Fafnir, who we have Red Angelique. We have these are outside of it. We have Sarah Livermore, multi generations Salem witch and practice. Oh my gosh, she's like one of the best seance people I've ever met. You know, I'm thinking about all that. We have Edward Palmer. We have Tatiana. I can never pronounce her name. Tatiana. We have so many great names, along with the usual some of the real rarities. I mean, we have Lord Don Lewis and Lady Stephanie Neal, who do not do readings as a business, and they're doing it solely for a fact of it. Yeah, we have a great thing, and it's not just me building this together. We have a great team that's building it.
Yeah, the thing about it is I'm really excited about doing this. And, you were talking about the Dragon Tarot class that I did. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. It's not just us doing it because we want to do it because we want to be able to help people and stuff like that as well. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to a video right now of one of our readers, which is Miss Pamela Griffith. Yes, Miss Pamela Griffith. And so what I did is I snipped a little clip of the video that her and Ed had done an interview on. So let's go and do that, and let's watch that.
When you talk about clairvoyance, how do you mean it? I mean, different people have different aspects of it.
I don't physically hear like someone whispering in your ear. I hear it. It's more in your head. It's like you'll hear hello and you'll look around. Like you'll hear someone call your name and nobody else has heard it. You'll hear a door close or open or just a noise, something like whispering in your ear, and no one's there and no one else has heard it. So it's more the psychic energy. You have to be open and aware to it. It's like once you plug in, you become very aware of everything. Most people just pass it off. It's the wind, it's, this, it's that, it's something else, it's a house cooling down. Once you become psychically aware, and once you become infused with that energy and start seeing the energy fields, then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I feel that, I see that, I hear that. So for me, it's more of I hear because it is a sound that I'm familiar with. It's a name, it's a voice, it's a whisper, is what it is perceived to me to be. Other people, it smells, it's sights, that little something out of the corner of your eye. For me, it's more of I hear something or it's a noise I hear. And people are like, oh, I didn't hear that. You'll hear a door close and none of the doors are closed, but I'll hear a door open. So it's that kind of thing. You hear, but it's I guess the way that you understand it. That's how everybody is. You interpret what you see by your experiences. So that's why when people see accidents and they get police try to get, firsthand accounts of what went on, everybody's got a different story because whatever you see, you interpret in your experience. So in my experience, I may never seen an elephant. So to me, it might look more like a kangaroo. It is how I experience it. So someone and I could have the same experience and have two completely different versions of it. Everybody's different. I like to think of it as flavors or colors. Everybody has a different one, but it's all sort of the same stream. We're all feeding into the same energy, but it's just our different ways of picking it up.
And so that's very well explained. I think people will understand that.
Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome, Pam.
Thank you. It's a little tough to explain some of these things because how do you explain what happens? I am in love with technology now, speaking as an oldster. This is phenomenal that we are able to do all this, and Ed has come along. I've noticed that we're very progressive in our field here. We're the only ones doing all this kind of cool stuff. But I am curious because being from another generation, we didn't grow up with computers and email and all that stuff. Ed, how are the oldsters, as I like to put it, how are the elders, let's put it that way, working with all of this new stuff? Because now we're almost forced to do it.
So it's been very interesting. Yesterday, I did the Nashville Pagan Pride Day, which had a lot of the older people, as you call them. It had Oberon Zell, and it had Alfred Willowhawk, and Mary and Lucy, who put it together, did such an amazing job. And they put their trust. CM Broadcasting was responsible for the back end distribution of that. Most people don't realize we've been back end distribution channel, the guys who handled the actual technology for a lot of the festivals this year that were online. And so they took it and they followed the system. So they're more open to it than ever before. And you hear some of the people who basically poo-pooed it just a couple of months ago, beginning to actually realize it has value.
Yeah, that was I was wondering about that because honestly, when we started back in the 60s, I did, it was like you were there in person, hands on, and this was almost a different form of magic.
That's not absolutely true. And I know there's a lot of nostalgia about the 60s community being so rugged, but it lacks a little bit of truth. You had the magazines being produced out.
Yes.
You started seeing Llewellyn in their festivals. So you did a lot of physical things, but you also had a lot of tape. You had audio tapes. And if anyone has a box of these audio tapes, please send them to me. And they had NPR radio. They were using technology, college radio. Isaac Bonowitz was a big guy doing college radio shows and things like that. So the idea that we were just so physically meeting all the time and weren't passing it on or using kind of the technology of today, they were using the technology of right then.
Yeah, it was a little different. The radio shows were, but they weren't as wide broadcasts. They were very, like I never heard half the shows if they were on the West Coast. You heard I'm an East Coast girl, so we heard East Coast stuff. But now you can plug in and you can hear, across the world.
Oh, sure.
And to me, we are all over the world as Corellians, and it's awesome to me when I get to talk to some of the people in Scotland. We have a young lady who joins us a lot from Scotland, and we have a young man who joins us, from the Philippines, and it's like a whole new bonding experience. So is that really going over as well as I like to think it is?
So it has two levels, three if you want to include it. So first of all, so Witch School was a phenomenon that ended up being more of a phenomenon than most people expected. And what it did do, something that was very important, was it allowed people to access information even if they were alone in their town, even if they were alone in their community and they couldn't tell anybody. And people don't remember, in 2001, we were still pretty closeted as a community on a local basis. So the big change is pagans used to think local and linear. Who's around me? What can I reach? How far can I go? And then you had some telephone systems. Then you had some people don't remember, but in the 70s and 80s, when the party lines began, people forget when we could do 2, 3, 4 people, we would do rituals on that. They would do rituals in that system. So we've always gone towards communication. But now, because of the internet, we're now able to think global and exponential. And that's really difficult to think of. This show, which is an experiment in social broadcasting, right? At one time, you would have to go onto your local cable station, film it, put it on tape, and mail all those systems away. Or you had to be a syndicator, which means you had to be in a room that had actually big, heavy cables to a dedicated system to be able to other television or radio networks to pick it up.
Yeah.
The internet ate all of that. Even the biggest broadcasters in the world are using some form of internet background to do that. We're on 5 or 6 different platforms right now. We're simulcasting, and thank you everybody who's joining us out there to kind of this audience, and you're getting an audience which is supportable, but would be considered micro in the old days of the broadcasting. So now with social broadcasting in the hands of the individual, it makes it more competitive, but we've never had a better time and cheaper. Literally 5 years ago, let me go 10 years ago, I wanted to do this and I had to rent space and time, and I wanted to buy a truck to do this sort of easy things I can do now with my phone. Literally, my phone has replaced the big trucks that drive around and doing film and sending it to the broadcasters.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different medium that is now much more democratic, much more social, and it takes away the middleman.
Yeah, that's the great thing about technology is that it is much easier, it is much cheaper, and it brings us a lot closer together. It's just like with the Halloween Psychic Fair, you're showing actual broadcasting about every single night or every other night. And one of the broadcasts that I saw last week was Lord Don's horror show.
Yes.
That was awesome. Because what it does is he picks a movie and he actually commentates through it like the old Hitchcock series and the Crypt Keeper. And so I used to remember the Tales from the Crypt, who would always come on and comment about this and that.
Elvira
Yeah,
is my favorite.
yeah,
And
that
Sven Guy, of course, is a Chicago guy, but yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And the first movie was White Zombie, which you can go on to and now see today after we've done the broadcasting. We can still see it.
yeah.
That was what I wanted to comment on. I found fantastic was that Nikki did her show. I didn't get a chance to catch it, but I can go back and catch her show
Mm-hmm.
and watch it at my convenience when I have time to really focus on what she's saying, because I know I'm busy, everybody's busy, and sometimes you don't focus. And for me, sometimes I have to rewind and listen again because I'm so focused on what someone's saying, I don't quite catch it. But to be able to go back and look at her show 2, 3, 4 times, as many times as I need to capture what she's trying to get across is like, oh my goodness, that is really fantastic. And we have Nikki on there for prosperity that we can go back again and look at the show again. 2, 3 years down the road when we're trying to remember something from it. So you kind of almost immortalize Nikki in her show because once it's out there, it's out there.
I agree. I'm going to go deeper than that. So I've been preparing for a long time. So I'm known as techno-pagan. I've been known as a techno-pagan for a while, but this year it actually has a little bit of respect. COVID really kind of showed people the advantage. But I have over 3,200 different podcasts with pagans. We have this is adding to a great collection. You're right about immortalizing. And I have a lot of people who have passed away from there. We have video, thousands of hours of videos. We're and CM Broadcasting, we're all the kinds of repositories. The sort of thing became the repository. Nikki's thing, as we do in the show. This show, Witch Chat, will be immortalized, and 50 years from now, it might be analyzed. But here's what it is: the hyper reality of what we would call print, radio, and television reality is shattered. It's utterly shattered, and people don't realize it yet. So one of the things you see is people are still not spending. Social media hasn't even begun yet. This is we're in the early 50s, maybe in mid 50s television standards, and it's going to accelerate at an exponential basis. So that reality of buying print magazines, you can still do it. Buying print books, yes, you can still do it, and people are still doing it. It's a nostalgia that's going away, but more importantly, it's not the fastest way of communication. Most people don't realize I have a book that has given out 400,000 copies of worldwide, called The Common Book of Witchcraft, Wicca and Witchcraft, which you can go to social.edthepagan.com, and on the bottom I have a link for it, and you can get it as a PDF. I'm not going to a publisher, I'm not charging for it, but it's out there. So that shows you kind of some of the possibilities of it.
Yeah, my mom and I were discussing the other day because there's one local channel that we're not able to get, and we went and we got an antenna to be able to get it. It seems like the only way you can get it is if you have satellite. Well, satellite is so expensive, and now we're actually streaming most of our shows. And my mom, she's in her 70s, so she doesn't really understand technology a whole lot. And I was just trying to explain that to her. But even like 10 years ago, we would have never, most people would have never thought that we could be able to do this. So I really do enjoy it. With the Psychic Fair,
10
go
years
ahead.
ago, let me interrupt you there if I may.
Mhm.
10 years ago, the Corellian tradition, we have the tape still on there. We were live streaming 10 years ago from Salem, Massachusetts on a nightly basis, teaching classes online to a live stream audience. So yes, 10 years ago, this existed and we were involved with it. I mean, I understand that there's something that, so yeah, but the majority of people didn't know it existed. And that's why it didn't bloom 10 years ago.
Right.
Ate too much bandwidth. It was just too heavy on the bandwidth.
So we have for the psychic fair, we have a psychic fair lobby, right?
We do have a psychic fair lobby. You can go to Halloween, Facebook.com/Halloween Psychic, and we have the link on there. We should. And, and go to the main site, HalloweenPsychicFair.com. We're going to have a lobby. And the lobby is a place where you can just sit out and meet people. It'll be a Zoom-based process. And you can find out, and then you can see everything else we're doing. Yeah, that's our center. HalloweenPsychicFair.com is our center. And we're a Nexus site. I mean, we have a backbone of a couple different services. We're not just a website anymore. There's nothing that's just a website anymore.
Yes. And with that, we're going to go to another psychic that we have, Silas, Silas is absolutely awesome. So let's hear from him.
And so let's go ahead and take it a little bit further on, a little bit deeper about you. I know so many, I know this is very hard for a lot of psychics. I'm learning this over the time, that there's so much into the service of helping others that it is difficult for them to talk about in a broad way about themselves. And I know that you have one of these humble natures. You're modest and you're humble. And so where do you think your greatest strength for somebody who wants a reading with you? What is your greatest strength you bring to the table for them? What is it that you're going to do that makes it worth them getting a reading from you?
Oh, that's a great question. So, I mean, really, like, I feel like I'm a very kind person, that I could put things in a perspective that wouldn't make somebody feel very, oh, well, that's a bad decision. I shouldn't really make that, but I should think about it. Mm-hmm. Or somebody that would feel in a bad, I don't know, in a bad light, that they would feel like they got some good information, and that it wouldn't come across in a way that would make them feel like crap or make them feel bad, because there's always options. Right. And really, like, readings are more about advice, take my advice or don't, kind of thing. So just, laying out the options, I mean, things aren't always just black and white. There's all kinds of shades in gray. So
in the tarot deck, there's every color of the rainbow.
Yeah, there sure is.
Absolutely.
All right.
I must say, Silas is very, very not loud about what he does, but he did a illustration all in Spanish, and I give him all kudos. That was another thing I'm finding out. We are worldwide. We need to start broadening our vocabularies to include other languages. And he single-handedly pulled off this illustration all in Spanish for our Spanish brothers and sisters. And that to me was like so inclusive that for him to even think to do that. So Silas is a very, very underrated person sometimes, because he doesn't come across with all he has. But that was really cool. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's really true. A lot of our psychics that we're having participating in the fair, they're all kind of like that, We all want to help people. We all have our different strengths. But, Ed, how would you talk to somebody who says, okay, I don't really know anything about any of these psychics. How can I choose one?
So I have a very simple process. It's a 3-question process. I learned it. I actually learned it at Salem Psychic Fair last year. So it was very interesting. And Sandra Powers is actually doing it. So it's the first thing I ask you: have you ever had a reading before? And the simple answer is, have you had a reading before? Is a yes or a no. And if it's a yes, we'll deal with that no. But let's presume it's a no. And he goes, okay, what are you wanting? Are you wanting to answer? And sometimes the answer is, oh, I just want to have a reading. Okay, we think you should go with one of these tarot readers. And then you just give them the characteristics. Do you like, it says, so give them a characteristic of a tarot reader. Okay. Most common reading style, tarot reading. And so you just give them the kind of that sort of thing. And we then, if they really don't know, and all your readers are good, remember when your readers are good, you can assign any of them to the job. Then you just send them the next one. Or you can say, then you can do a number of little questions real quick. Do you want to prefer a male or female reader? Do you like, are you looking for love, romance? Are you looking for any advice? No, I'm just looking for, just to see what the cards tell me. You give them to a reader like that. So if they've never had a reading, you kind of just direct them towards tarot. And then you kind of just give them the best answer you can. And you don't give them too many choices. There's a thing called choice paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
So understand that this is one of the biggest things that happen. I'm going to have to break up so that people can do it. And that is when you're giving your customer too many choices, they won't make any choices at all. Because they don't want to overwhelm. So you can help them with that. So if they say yes, what type of reading did you have? Oh, I have had a tarot reading. Do you have often a lot of tarot readings? Yes. Why don't you try something different? Have you ever had a medium reading, had a clairvoyant reading? So you get them to go to the next scale. And again, and you say, well, what type of readings have you had? Why don't you try this? You give them suggestions. This is how I do it. But if you don't know what you want, you've got to just keep tasting until you find someone that you click with, or several people you click with.
Yeah. So when you go onto the website, it lists all of our psychics. So does somebody actually have to pick one in order to be able to get a reading?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes, you have to actually pick a reading, and that's what the lobby is for. So the lobby has people who know all the different readers, and so you can go in there and ask questions. So if you're confused, this is where the lobby exists. There'll be readers in the lobby, and also knowledgeable people who will know about all the different readers. The second thing is when you click on the name of the reader, you can make a decision. It'll give you your bio, and they'll give you an interview that you've taken pieces from. You can see the interviews with them. We give you a lot of information. So we give you a lot of information up front, and you can hear them before you can make a reading. You can get all that information, and you can make a reading that way. So you get to do that.
I must say that's more information than you get if you go to a reader, if you're picking a reader out of the phone book or offline. I'm looking at, I went on just to be nosy, of course, and to see who was reading. And it was like, I'm reading bios. And of course, when you read those bios, you're going like, oh my goodness, I'm not even qualified to be in this list. But the bios are phenomenal. You're reading them and going, wow, because we're impressed. Then you actually got the clips. So you don't even get that if you go to the local psychic in town. If you're picking, I'm in Florida, we have a couple in the small town I'm in, and there is nothing except the sign that says psychic reading or tarot reading. And you don't even know who's reading, male, female, or if they're, what they're doing. All you have is psychic readers. Right. So I think we're giving like so much information. It was like, wow, you look on there and you look at the bios, you look at the clips, and I think you're giving them such information they can make that detailed decision, actually, which reader they really want to talk to.
Absolutely. And that's what, and then again, having the lobby as a support system is another type of support system, and you have classes. But we even go a step further as we evolve this. So this is going to be a running evolution. And the truth is, Halloween Psychic Fair is also you'll see a second name called psychicservices.org. The Halloween Psychic Fair is a process of that. And the psychicservices.org is going to continue on after Halloween to kind of continue to build this process. So this is this is kind of one of those. This is where digital paganism comes in and how I've organized things in the past. Witch School started out as just a couple of classes, then became a social network. Then we added Magic TV. We built our own Magic TV November before we got into YouTube. We were one of the first YouTubers. Before podcasting got, we built up Pagans Tonight. And so CM Broadcasting is the social broadcasting system. So we're able to get a lot more information because people want more information. And then after that, if this service works through Halloween, if it reaches anywhere of our expected goals, we'll probably continue on developing these types of programs. But yeah, I mean, and as you want people, all these psychics have also had radio shows and podcasts and other videos. So there's a lot of information about it. We're going to continue to help everybody learn about this through social broadcasting.
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh yeah, that that is really great. But Pam, I think it's time for us to have our music video.
Oh, that's me. I got so involved. Yes, it is our song of the week. Each week, Nikki and I select a song from a pagan musician. You guys understand that these guys cannot get out anymore. They really need our support, not just financially. Remember, these guys are used to standing in front of a crowd doing a song. So you can go onto their podcast, and a lot of them are on Bandcamp. So this week, we're proud to introduce a recently released song by a musical artist that's going to be on our show next year. We're very excited about that. It's from her album, Wild Things. The song is Wild Things, and the artist is S.J. Tucker. So sit and have a listen with us.
I stand between the wild and the familiar, wondering if they've always been the same. Tonight's is a moon worth drawing down. We are witches worthy of the name. Comes a gathering of signals from far and wide. Little candles burning on both sides of all our dirty screens tonight. All the old familiar rhymes are not gonna fit these wild, wild times. What's familiar's gotta be run our own way. So let it begin right here, right now, right here, right now. Let it begin with me. Oh, let it begin, let it begin. Picking up the call to action. One's ready and tears held back. Let's send out everything we got. Get the blue veil before the black. Red, white, and hide it up to here. Comes a gathering of signals from everywhere. Here comes that moon and the sky is clear. All the old familiar rhymes are not gonna fit these wild, wild times. What's familiar's gotta be run around with. All the old familiar rhymes are not gonna fit these wild, wild times. What's familiar's gotta be run around with. Darling, you are not the only one. Everything you need to feel, go ahead and feel it till it's done. And after, take some time to heal. This machine and I know the work continues over time. No vacation from the lies. All the old familiar rhymes do not suit our changing times. Damned if the revolution ain't televised and broadcast far and wide. Keep documenting all that size. Keep on speaking truth to power. Listen and lift up, survive. 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 Survive.
October is here, and you know what that means. We pagans get on our broomsticks and gather together during the witching hour. One of the biggest problems us pagans face is that we have very little space. And how do you keep our altars with us? Don't fret, because at Moonlight Potions and Charms, we have the passion in designing products that will help you to embrace the power of your own magic. With the tap of the wand, the altar on the go contains everything you need to set up your magical altar, even in the smallest of spaces. Or the altar on the go, ultimately wicked special edition, jam-packed with more items for your magical need. Our new arrivals include altars designed to honor the Voodoo Queen, Madame Marie Laveau, Santa Morte, as well as our beloved ancestors. There is so much more in our wicked store to help you embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotioncharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you. With the summer season comes life, death, and transformation. What is it in your life that you're missing and no longer serves you? Do you feel you were born to do something more? Discover your life's passion and purpose and more at the Laughing Soul Holistic Center, where our classes, coaching sessions, and readings are specially designed to assist and support you with your transition and transformation. Emerge into your authentic self and become the person you were meant to be. Visit us at www.laughingsoul.com and discover how to live the soulful life. Greetings, I'm Lady Nikki Kirby. You may recognize my voice from Witch Hat Chats. It is a privilege to be participating in the Halloween Psychic Fair. The entity known as death is a universal constant that is often misunderstood. It comes in various forms, and we experience it on a daily basis. Discover how to tap into this powerful magic to transform your life in my workshop called Death, My Friend, My Ally. To register, please visit www.halloweenpsychicfair.com, and I look forward to meeting you. Have an amazing day. Alrighty then. Welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. We are here with Sir Ed Hubbard, and we're talking about the Halloween Psychic Fair. So, you know, the one thing that I'm kind of excited about is, Ed, is the Halloween Psychic Fair game show. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So that's coming up. Yeah, it's going to be for a basket of goods. Not a lot of stuff. Vendors who want to be in there and things of that nature. It's going to be simple trivia question. We're going to have 3 topics per round, 3 questions for each topic. Looking for contestants. If you're interested in being a contestant, please let me know, folks. At thepagan@gmail.com or Facebook or wherever. And then people will be answering questions, trivia questions about Halloween, occultism, the whole kind of world of supernatural. Could be movies, it could be about books, it all depends on the crowd. And we're going to be doing that on every Wednesday, starting next this Wednesday. And honor, respect, how good are you at trivia? And so part of our goal is CM broadcasting and then trying to do things that are a little bit interesting, that are a little bit like, kind of mimic the mainstream.
Yeah, it's going to be fun in that aspect.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that. Also, you're considering to have a panel on Ouija boards, or is that still going to be in play? Or
I think it is. It's Ouija board debates. Well, it'll probably be the first night. It'll be just me and RJ, just kind of laying down the things. And the second week, it's a 3-week session, and we're going to be setting it up, and we're going to talk Ouija boards. And I'm pro Ouija board. So, and RJ, Reverend Ravenwolf, if anyone knows, is bitterly opposed to Ouija boards. And I'm as big an advocate as you ever. Remember, Ouija boards was one of the first factories for Ouija board was in my hometown, Chicago.
Yeah, that's right. And that I'm pro Ouija. It's fun in our little psychic lobby. We were talking those discussions, and it got to be a lively discussion, I will say. But yeah, it's interesting. That's going to be a nice debate for everybody to tune into. For a long time, Ouija boards, I love it. You know, you 8 years or older, you can purchase a Ouija board. That's a scary thought right there. But it is a discussion that is not just limited to the psychic and the witch areas. It's a very mundane discussion that's being had all over. This time of year is our time. And I noticed the Ouija boards coming out in full force in the stores. This is their time to move them.
I think it's a very important thing. Like I said, the last time I did a big Ouija board thing, I opened a lot of Ouija boards, and people really got mad at me. This was 4 years ago. But one of the first predictions out there, Cubs win. That was the night 2016. They won the World Series that year. It said, people ask, it says, somebody asked about the politicians. It said Trump won. He did. And we got this. Remember, this is not me just telling you. It's go to Last Act of the Apocalypse on Facebook, and all these things are still there. I do that. Russia was inside was another big one at that time. And this was in October. This was like October 1st and 2nd. And then there were two more, Conqueror of the World. And that was the one that scares me the most. And we're facing that. And the last one was basically, and it was basically no conflict. And so basically somebody asked us, we're going to head into a war. And they said no conflict. And we didn't. So it's been very interesting. The one that got people was Trump winning, because before Trump won, nobody thought he was going to win. Everybody laughed about it. And the Russia inside didn't show up until months later. So they are good tools of prediction and things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to these debates because I think there's a lot of value. I mean, last year, one of the things is about the time of one of the debates, literally a year earlier, the world's largest Ouija board was in Salem, and I actually got a chance to work with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we need to go. Let's see, we got another commercial, not a commercial. We got another psychic going to be coming up. So we're taking, let me share my screen here. And you know what? It's going to be my interview. Yes, it's going to be my interview. So let's see what I said as we talk with Ed.
Hi, everybody. This is another in the series of Halloween Psychics for the Halloween Psychic Fair. And I'm speaking with Nikki Kirby, the host of Witch Hat Chats. Try saying that 3 times fast. It's a great show on Sunday afternoons out on the web. She does an internet series where she's interviewing some of the best and biggest names in our pagan community. But she's also a reader and joining us at the Halloween Psychic Fair, where you can see it at HalloweenPsychicFair.com. Hi, Nikki.
Hello, Ed.
So what are you going to be doing for the Psychic Fair in terms of readings?
Well, I'm going to be doing tarot and clairvoyance.
Can you explain a little bit about how you do your readings, or what it is that the client can expect?
Well, what the client can expect is that when I do my readings, I look at the cards and I look at the artwork of the cards and see what the cards say to me. But it's not just also that. It's also their spirits, their ancestors that talk to me. And I will help them with whatever the question they have for them, because I want to be able to empower my clients and make them feel that they can be able to do anything that they want to in their life. And that's something that I'm very, very much for, because I do believe that you are the master of your own ship, and the only person who can do anything to make yourself happy is you.
And that's a wonderful talent and everything else. I know you connect with their spirit and draw out the very best from them.
All right. That was cool.
That was awesome. So you can also see Nikki's bio if you go up and you want a reading. She's got her bio listed as well. So I encourage everybody to go on there and just take a look and see some of the readers on there. You might get lucky enough to still be able to book her.
Yeah, you know, I'm really looking forward to doing all of this. And now let's get to the seances that we're going to be having. Can you tell us a little bit about those, Ed?
So we've experimented with seances online back in May. And as people know, I'm very much into spirit communication and being around people with spirit communications. But personally, I just like seances. I don't usually are not in the same room because one of my best friends, Lord Don, does major seances, and that's what. So he's doing 2 seances. Raven Greenfield is also doing seances. Sarah Livermore, Salem Psychic, is probably going to be doing seances. And what is a seance online? Well, it's very limited, no more than 10 people in the room. So they're gallery style, but it's short. And then you basically get, everybody in that room will get a message, but it'll be a share, it'll be kind of fun. And there's different styles. So there's the kind of the, more possessive type. There's the kind of the talking through the spirit type. There's more of the intellectual type. So you just have to look at the type of seance. But we're expecting probably more seances than that. It's a great chance to try it out in the safety of your own home.
The safety of your own home, Pam. Remember that. The safety of your own home.
Yeah, we'll discuss that next week. I got a little bone to pick. We were fortunate that it's going to be on what, tonight?
Yes, tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You will see a seance with Nikki, myself, and Reverend Ravenwood, and you will get to see some interesting things that came up and happened. Afterwards, next week, we will go a little bit more in depth with what happened after the show. You got to remember, they don't go home when you finish. Sometimes they hang in there with you, but it was lots of fun. You're right, though, and I really think this is interesting that we're doing them online because you don't always get to a seance, and they are always limited. I mean, you don't have a seance with 200 people. So by the time you hear about it many times in your town with someone who's good, it's booked. So this is an awesome opportunity to actually go in there. I booked mine already, guys. 10 people per seance. So if you want them, you better start booking them.
And yeah, and seances aren't going to be like a lot of things. It's not like it's highly repetitive. As soon as we get 10 people, get another seance. They're very limited because they are very energy intensive for the psychics. But we've also learned how to, so the big thing about the digital world, the digital psychism, what I call the telepathic network, and I always have all my life. So it's very exciting that idea is there. Is that distance and energy doesn't matter as much. I mean, the amount of distance you have, the amount of space it is, it's just a matter of getting everybody to do so and then focusing on a central point.
It is, and it's funny, we talk about distance healing all the time, healers, Reiki masters like myself, but it's nothing for someone to say, hey, can you send Reiki, halfway across the world? We're like, oh yeah, sure, not a problem. But sometimes we don't remember that is the same energy that we're sending out with our psychic abilities. So sometimes we got to stop and think that, yeah, it's a two-way highway there. We can send it out, but we can also receive it.
Mm-hmm.
So book your times now as soon as possible because they're filling up quick from what I hear. And I have a question with all of this technology. I know you're into the techno because if it wasn't for you, we would not be here. How do you see it evolving? Do you see this staying even after the COVID and, when all the restrictions are back off and we claim we're back to whatever normal is going to be? How do you see this platform going? Do you see it continuing?
Oh, absolutely. That's not even a question. We're learning so much so fast, so quick. This made us take this made a lot of companies start to act things. Even myself, I was always going to create this idea of CM broadcasting and Magic TV as a subscription site. But that was supposed to be late next year. It was supposed to, after I kind of went through the old fashioned thing, building a Netflix show, which I was doing, which I'm still trying to do, which I'll do next year. Out of the festivals, I was going to do a Netflix show showing the different festivals, music, lights from the pagan life, rah, rah, rah. And then I was going to use that money to kind of build a station. And now this forced me to do it even pennies on the dollar from there. So because of the inexpensiveness of it, because it does connect, I mean, we have one of our readers is Rolando. And Rolando, Reverend Apu, is in the Philippines and he's doing readings. Mhm. So, and he's doing readings for Americans. So the ability to transfer this sort of information and messaging. Yesterday at Nashville Pagan Pride Day, we talked about how we're going to hybridize their live event next year. And everybody thinks of it this way. And this is going to be very important for people to understand. This is why these platforms aren't going to die. They've gotten a taste of it. I've been arguing for it. So we're going to go in, CM Broadcasting is going to go in and broadcast from them, so we can do interviews, kind of shows, kind of, have their workshops online. Because there's a lot of people, they discovered that more people are outside of that than inside of it. And it won't take away, because no one ever stops going to Lollapalooza because they broadcast a Lollapalooza concert. In fact, it makes people want to go more to it. But here's what's the reversal on everybody. And some people say, well, great. But somebody mentioned that one of their volunteers, one of their desk readers, Sam, really can't make it out anymore because of his health. But for years, he's been the door greeter. So we can do that. They looked at me strangely. And we can now, and so we're going to be putting a screen on a desk at the thing where you can talk to him. And he's going to be a presenter, a greeter, answering all the questions from his home to the live event. So it reverses the process.
Wow.
Awesome.
And that'll be true of readers. So this is where the change is going. You can go to a festival and you want a particular speaker. You hire CM Broadcasting help, and that speaker can't make it. Say they are older, or they're doing multiple events that weekend, or simply just can't afford it. Or, and more importantly, you're a small event, you don't want to spend as much money. You can teleport them by telepresence. We can set up a screen, and they can also have more screens, and that they can be then broadcast into your festival live. Every store in the country, this is going to be next year. So this is one of the Witch School expansions. As we have all these videos, our mentors, our teachers, our people we could create this CM, if we can get the stores to work with us. They could have a live teacher, a live trained teacher, come in there, and then we can have a broadcast about, say, lesson Wicca 101, how to do tarot. We have the teacher that goes on the screen, and in that store, everybody gets the same lessons. And you can have live people in that store then work with the individual studies. It's how we take exponential and global into local. So the difference, the hyper reality of going back and forth between virtual and physical is going to blur more. This is going to become more seamless.
Wow. Mind blown. Because I guess, of the mindset that, once COVID is over, we're going to go back to what we thought was normal, but our normal now is going to be more of a hybrid. And gosh, that means
it's never going to be over. You understand that?
Yeah, that means I'm going to be able to attend shows all over the country, sitting in my home, and get to see all the speakers that I cannot afford to fly to go see.
Right. More so than that. Absolutely. That's going to start happening, and you're going to be parts of it. COVID is never going away in the way that the Depression never went away from that generation. So people who survived the Depression had very distinct patterns that changed forever how they lived their lives and the way we live our lives. They became more appreciative of the items they had. They were hoarders. They had all sorts of behaviors. So people who survived these sort of crises are all altered. So we're going to so COVID is never totally going to go away. We are never going to trust going back into crowds the same way that we are. We're never going to be, this behavior is permanent, and it's deep, and it's global. So in fact, people are going to, if you go onto the event, let's take it to the negative side, what people say, and Japanese and overseas don't see it the same way. This is the first trigger towards the idea of a matrix. We've learned how much money we saved. We learned how much we could do with difference. And then shortly here, if you need to go somewhere physically, in Japan, at conventions, they have a little robot. It stands about 3, 4, 5 feet tall, depending on what you want. They have an iPad on it for the face, and then you can rent it. These things cost $3,000, $4,000. They rent for cheaper. And you can get a pass to the convention, and you can move your robot into the convention. And people can see your face, you can shake hands, see it, and watch the speakers from your own home. Oculus this year, $299 glasses, basically VR system, is one of the reasons why Facebook changed. It's called Facebook Connect. And basically, we're going to have virtual reality as the next social media within 3 years.
It's kind of like Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah.
You know, where they go into the cafe and you get to interact and you're looking at a screen, and who was it? Max Headroom, if I remember that
I love
correctly.
Max.
Yeah, Max. It was one of them, and then they had Michael Jackson on another one, and then I forgot what the other one was. But you know, it's going to be kind of like that. But right now, we need to go to the video of Tim Ravenwolf. He will be doing our seance tonight. And let's see what he's got to say today.
I'm also a clairaudient, which means I specialize in hearing. Clairaudience, what we do is that we hear, but we can visualize what we hear. It's very unique. Our frequency of hearing is above and below normal range. So yeah, for me, it's hereditary. I also practice psychometry. It's very hard to do through Zoom, obviously, for the psychic fair. I can't wait until we get to do this in person. But I also practice psychometry. I'm very happy to help. If you have heirlooms, you know, it's kind of another one of my weird specialities. I also counsel and I teach mediumship. I help people go down that path. Obviously, you know, I always tell people that think they're mediums, with the right teaching, you can do it, but you have to have an open mind. And everything's to do with being open, being honest, right? Accepting that we're not superpowered human beings. We're normal human beings, but we're different to the sense that we're aware. And I tell people there's nothing wrong with being different. I've been different since I was 13. I've grown up with it. And to me, different isn't even a word. I am what I am.
I think that's the truth for a lot of people. I think that we're learning that lesson, all of it.
Yeah.
So you talk about mediumship and you talk about clairvoyance and things like that. Psychometry is interesting. Once we get the VR next year down, we might be doing some of that psychometry stuff through the internet.
Yeah, it's more than doable. It really is, the way it works. Mm-hmm. The technicalities.
And in this year of COVID, it's going to be very necessary for people who normally would meet personally to be able to do this online. I think people are looking very forward to services.
Yeah, I mean, in VR, it would be technically possible to do psychometry, but you would need to be in close proximity of that object. How it would work, we would need the software, or better yet, I would need a picture of the object, and I could do it that way.
Oh, it would be rendered 3D.
Yeah, why not? I mean, the sky's the limit with the technology that we have. So yeah, I mean, if people did want to have a psychometry reading, I'd be open to it. I really would be.
Awesome. You know, that's really cool what they say about psychometry is to be able to do that.
I tell you, mine is blown on this because this is something that we thought my generation would never ever see. This was a fantasy future, and to be able to be living to see it and even being a part of it through the show, it's like it's mind-blowing in one respect. In another respect, sometimes you got to pinch yourself, like, I'm really doing this. I'm having a three-way conversation with people in 3 different states or 3 different countries last night, and we were in the room. Apu was in the room. We had Angel in the room from Scotland. And it's like, we're talking 3 different continents, all talking together at one time. And this was stuff that, you know, this was stuff of written, maybe Bradbury would write this, or Heinlein or Asimov. And here I'm living it. So it is mind blowing. And I guess this COVID really just pushed it into reality. I guess we didn't have a choice, did we, Ed?
No. And so so people don't know a lot about the fact that I've been in the startup community, the entrepreneurial community. I work with, I'm only starting to emerge into the coach industry, but if you listen to a lot of the people who are in this technology futurists, they said the companies suddenly had to scramble and that they had to do it because you know, the adaptation to market was very important. So we're not alone in this. I mean, it allowed some things that were great to happen. Like Amazon has expanded majorly. However you feel about Amazon, the ability for us to be able to deliver and have our food, our groceries, everything product delivered directly to our house expanded in a major way. And that's going to have a very good things when we start looking at things like basic income. You'll be able to order stuff and people will be able to deliver it to you to your home. The negative, of course, it hurt a lot of small businesses in the process by not being open. So they had to go online. Any sort of radical change in an environment causes evolution. Now the question comes in, what does that evolution look like? And the problem is most people don't believe how fast technology will change. And then the technology they expect to come in very quickly is very slow. We've had VR for 3 decades now. It's only now starting to get into the systems of doing so because it had to have hundreds of inventions to get there to make it work. We could see it and work. But the mind-blowing thing, and then when I do the Hecate Sickle Festival, I'm going to do this. It's called The Last Frontier. It'll be my speech on the rise of the techno witch. And it's called The Last Frontier. And it is about the idea of that which remembers lives. So I really think that we're on the verge of extended lives and even potentially online immortality.
Well, they say once it's been recorded, it's there, it is immortal. If you have pictures, they're able to bring them back. I've seen, you know, really old photographs. I have some myself that have been retouched and make them look new again. So once they put it to disc, I guess it's going to be here for immortality.
Not true.
No?
No, this is where I think we're going to have to be very careful on. That's a myth. This is where pagans of the next generation, why we're going to need to buy land, not just for seeds and land and getting back to the earth, but to put our servers and our communication. They said that about the Library of Alexandria. Now that we have it all written down, it'll last forever. But the library itself was burned down.
That's true.
If all the disks are destroyed, all the servers are destroyed, then we lose it. So it is going to be very important that our servers, like our libraries, are going to become sacred to us. They're actually going to become living, conscious things that we need to preserve. And it's not true. You can't get into your Yahoo groups. If you are a Yahoo group and you spent years developing, we had literally dozens of Yahoo groups. You can't get into them anymore. It may be stored somewhere, but it's not stored to the public. We can't use them anymore. GeoCities, do you remember GeoCities?
Oh, yeah.
You can't get into them anymore. How about MySpace? You can barely get in and they've erased a lot of the accounts. So this idea that if you take a picture and it lasts, it's also got to have a caretaker. It's got to be we're going to have this situation of having a caretaker. And that's essential because it can be lost. We can lose all of this in a minute if somebody went around and blew up all our computers.
Yeah, that's really, really true, you know, and we're working on that, and I'm glad that we're working on that. But that is all for today. Thank you so much, Ed, for coming on to the Halloween Psychic Fair. Where can people reach you?
Just about anywhere is Ed the Pagan, edthepagan at Gmail, social.edthepagan.com. Facebook, I'm Ed the Pagan. Instagram, Ed the Pagan. TikTok, Ed the Pagan.
I see a theme. I see a theme coming through here.
Yeah, it's my digital aura. That's how I keep my online presence really tight. That's my online persona. That's what I've developed. So that's, you know, so you can if you put that in the search engine, you'll find out a lot of information about me, good or bad.
Awesome.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you. All week. All month.
All right. Ed is at the www.halloweensocketfair.com. So make sure you go to there and see everything that we're doing. Thank you so much, Ed, for coming on and just chatting with us about what the Halloween Socket Fair is. And you continue to make a difference in your life and others.
And congratulations on your 13th show. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, Miss Pam is going to be doing our Witch's Cabinet this week. So, Miss Pam, what are we doing?
Okay. We all know the Samhain is coming up. That is our very, very special holiday. For those non-pagans tuning in, it's Halloween. It's a time when we honor our ancestors. As we get closer, Nikki's going to fill you in on some of the traditions, folklore, and history of Samhain. But as we prepare for Samhain, there are certain things that we can do in our home to get us ready for it. And one of the things is we do honor our ancestors, and we do have altar cloths. So these are ancestor altar cloths. And what it is a sheet of material, and it can be any color, but remember, you're going to write on it, or you're going to needlepoint on it. So you're going to want to decide what you want to do. And let's see if it's going to come out. Yes, it does. You're going to list your ancestors. Now, people think that that's pretty silly, but let me explain what happens. You put your ancestors on here, you're doing a family history. So if it's done as a collaborative effort with your children, they get to learn about people. In my family, my mother and father died very young. My children did not get to meet them. Not all my children, some did. So doing an ancestor cloth for us was filling in the story as we were putting the names on the actual cloth. Now you can do it in like this, or you can needle point it in. You can do anything you want, but now's the time to start thinking about it, because this can be very beautiful on your altar. And every year to honor, you would just add to your ancestors. So this is very special. This is something the whole family can partake in. And it's especially pointed to children, because this is how they learn their lineage. We're scattered all over nowadays. We're not where my grandchildren are, all up north. I'm in the south. So this is a way that of a remembrance of who my parents were, because I'm not there to talk about them. So on their ancestor cloth, they would have my parents on there. And it would be a special way of honoring them, and also allowing the children to see that your lineage continues on. You get to remember those names, and you would see them on your altar cloth. You bring it out for Samhain, place it on your altar, and you dedicate the whole month of October to your ancestors. It's something that we'd love to do, and to share this with everybody. So it's very quick, very easy, and you can share it with everybody. And Nikki?
Oh, thank you, Pam. That was great. That's a really good thing to be able to do, because it's very important for you to actually remember your ancestors and where you came from. We have to know where we came from so we can be able to know ourselves and be able to move forward in life as well. And that's something that a lot of people don't seem to understand. They're like, oh, I know my grandmother and I may know her mom, but that's about it. No. You need to be able to go back a little bit further in that. And ancestry.com is a good way to be able to do that as well. So, looks like Miss Pam has left for the day.
No, a lot of people get on that ancestry and they find out they're not who they thought they were. They've had a couple of shows of that. And this is one way to kind of help with that. You don't know your ancestry, and all of a sudden you find out, wait a minute, I didn't know I was part German. And it's amazing. And it tells us who we are, why we like some of the things that we do. And it just makes you more complete when you can look back and see it. And doing your ancestry is kind of a cool thing to do. Now we have the DNA. That makes it so awesome to do.
I did the DNA, and so did my mom, and we found out some things that we didn't even know we were part of, cultures we were part of. And one of it is the fact that I do have Black people in my family from Africa. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And it explained so much to me. It explained to me why the goddess Anya was coming and talking to me, because I was kind of confused why she was talking to me. And so it had me to start learning about that religion, that culture, and see how I can be able to understand that. And doing that, I also understood myself a lot better.
I think it's beautiful when we realize we're not one thing or two things. We're so multicultural and we don't even know it. And it kind of brings the world a little bit closer together. you know, you can't hate a culture you're part of, sort of thing. You find out that you're mixed with goodness knows what. You know, my mother's from Italy. Kind of know that, okay. My dad's people are a mix. And it was kind of nice to see the heritage. And you do get that chance to, wow, now that's cool. I want to study that. And you broaden your own horizons that way. Because now you would have never looked at that before. Never, oh, that's weird, and just let it go. But now you know it's part of you.
Yeah, you know, it's like I said, when Anya first came to me, I was like, well, wait a minute, why are you coming to me for?
Exactly.
And now, you know, and when I got the result of that test, and my mom, she wanted to do it because she's always been interested in keeping our ancestors and keeping them alive and being able to see who you came from and who you're related to and so forth. And when I gave that to her for her birthday several years ago, I also did one for me as well because she wanted us to take it together. So we did. And when it came back to that, I was like, oh, okay. And then I started to look more deeper into it. And I'm like, oh, this is where this is, you know, and it kind of helps you because a lot of people, we don't know where our magic comes from as far as our ancestors. And it helped me to understand, okay, this is where a portion of my magic started. So that's the reason why I can do this and this and this and this. And I understand this a lot better than most other people. And it also helps you to discover exactly, like I said, who you are, because I am 100% a rebel. I admit that. I admit that. I know, Pam, you can never tell. Okay, you didn't even know that about me. I bet you didn't even know that about me at all.
I am in total shock.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the tribe that I'm talking about was one of the warrior tribes that was from there. And plus, on top of that, I am Irish, actually, technically Dutch Irish is what I am. And they're rebels. And then, of course, you know, I'm from the South and I have, you know, the Appalachian mountain people in my tree and so forth. So it was like 1, 2, 3.
You didn't stand a chance, is what you're telling us.
Bam, yeah, I couldn't stand a chance. I mean, it's like it's in my DNA. That's the reason why I get passionate about when people are not treated right, and I get ticked off. And then, but you know, over the time, I also understood where my temper comes from as well, and how to be able to master that a little bit better than what I did. Because if you would have known me way back, you know, when I was a teenager growing up in my 20s, I had a temper to where if you looked at me wrong, you and me would have it. We would get into it. But now I don't really care, you know, a whole lot. It's really hard to get me to come off, but it just helped me to understand myself so much better, and I understand why I have problems with authority now. You know, I never thought I ever had problems with authority. I'm just thinking that you just didn't know what you were doing. You know?
You know, it's funny. It brings you closer as a world because now you're like, okay, you thought you were just from this little spot here, but now, no, you're here, you're here, you're here. And so your globe, your personal globe becomes much smaller and you start looking at like, well, you're not so much different from the guy next to you. And I think that that's a global awareness that we really need right now because we're being divided. But I think it's better for us that we know our global awareness because now we're looking at, okay, when you look at the planet and you're from a country, you basically look at your country because you're not focusing planet wide, because why would I focus on that? I'm not there. I'm here. You know, I'm in the South. I focus on the South. But when you start looking to where your indigenous people are from, you're like, oh, wow, you know, I've got people over there. I've got relatives, distant, but they're relatives. So now you've got to start looking at the world this big, not this big. So it kind of brings us together. I think it's phenomenal that we do that. And I think now in this day and age when things are happening, what's happening worldwide, we need to start looking at our ancestors, start looking at where we came from, where we're going. Because if you don't know, you can't tell where you're going unless you know where you came from.
Mhm.
And looking back a little bit, doing the ancestor, just going back with your ancestors, looking at that, looking at where your ancestors came from, the struggle that they went through to get where you're at. You know, my dad's people, we have natives somewhere in our group, and you look at where they came from to get where they're at. Where my maiden name is Maxwell, it's Scots, so we're always up for a fight. So, you know, where does that come from? But you're looking at that and you're going, okay, they came to America, and when it was new, didn't have anything, and made their way, and this is where the stock I'm from. So it gives you a lot more global feeling. And in the same way, you're looking at, okay, Scotland's my homeland now because I'm Scots, you know, Italy. And then you start looking around, and it is starting to make the world a little bit smaller, but it's also making you more globally aware of what's going on in the world.
You know, and it also makes you feel like you're not alone. That's another thing. And you know, you were saying right now, you know, our country really is divided right now over so many things. And one way of being able to bring in that gap is to find common denominators. And when you go into your ancestry and everything, you can find common denominators, and you can start to talk about that, and then expand and be able to look at each other's world is you know, so much different.
They did an ancestry commercial. It's kind of long. It was on Facebook where they took, I don't know, it was like 30 people and they did DNA on them. They brought them back the next week for the results. But before they brought them back, they discussed with them, what group do you not want to be associated with, if you could pick your group. And people were picking countries where traditionally their country didn't get along with the other country type thing.
Mhm.
You know, oh, I can't be part of that because that's not, you know, my country doesn't like their country. And come to find out, a lot of them had DNA from that other
Yeah.
country. It was a little eye-opening because one gentleman was definitely, I cannot be part of that country. That is not who I am. Come to find out, he was like 30%. And he literally, it was a jaw-dropping moment. He was like, and a young lady who couldn't, because of her culture, couldn't associate with a different culture in her same country, found out she had a first cousin in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But because the cultures don't talk, so somebody in the DNA went over to the other culture, and they said, well, you know, she said, well, I can't be part of that because my culture doesn't allow us to intermingle. Come to find out, her first cousin was sitting in the room. She didn't even know him.
All right. And with that, we got to say goodbye.
All right. Remember the psychic fair.
Yes, remember the Halloween Psychic Fair. That's where you can find me and Miss Pam. And tonight at 9 p.m., we're going to have a Witch Hat Chats special seance edition with the great, the mighty Tim Ravenwolf Greenfield. And he will also be on next week. And you can watch as Pam treats him like a little worm and she starts dissecting him as well. So we're going to have all that, and maybe Pam will have some blood going somewhere or something like that. You never know with us.
I'll go back to my roots to blood sacrifice. It has to be there somewhere. But please join us. You'll have fun. Tonight we'll set you up for next week's show.
That's right. So you have an absolute wonderful day. Thank you so much, Pam, for being on the show with me.
Thank you.
All right, and have a good one.